that process he called individuation.
Individuation, right.
It's the journey of becoming a complete, fully realized individual. And that journey is basically impossible if we ignore a huge, albeit unconscious, part of ourselves.
What are the specific risks, then, if we choose to ignore our shadow?
Repressing the shadow can lead to a whole cascade of psychological problems. One big consequence is internal fragmentation.
Fragmentation?
Yeah, when there's this persistent, unresolved conflict between our conscious ego's idealized self-image and the denied stuff in the unconscious shadow, it creates internal friction. This inner turmoil can show up as anxiety, persistent unease, depression, or even self-sabotaging behaviors.
That makes sense. It's like trying to maintain a perfect image that just doesn't match reality. The strain must be huge.
Exactly. And on a bigger scale, projecting our collective shadows onto other groups is a huge driver of societal divisions, prejudice, conflict. Think about how easily we can demonize those we see as other. In more extreme cases, if the ego gets particularly weak or the shadow becomes really powerful from being ignored for so long, Jung warned of something called possession.
Possession? That sounds serious.
It is. It's where the shadow basically overwhelms conscious control, leading to destructive behaviors like addiction, uncontrollable rage, or other impulsive actions. The classic Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde story is a powerful illustration of this potential for a hidden, darker side to just take over.
So it's not just about feeling a bit off. There can be genuinely serious consequences.
Absolutely. As Jung noted, those repressed negative traits never get corrected and are liable to burst forth suddenly in a moment of unawareness.
Yeah.
Even our best intentions can get undermined, and our closest relationships can be damaged by these unacknowledged shadow elements working beneath the surface.
Okay, I'm convinced. Ignoring the shadow sounds like a pretty high-risk strategy. So what happens when we intentionally turn towards it? What are the actual benefits of this shadow integration you mentioned?
The rewards are profound, really transformative. Firstly, it dramatically increases our self-awareness. By acknowledging and understanding our shadow, we gain a much more complete, more nuanced picture of ourselves, embracing both our perceived strengths and our undeniable weaknesses.
Okay.
This deeper self-knowledge naturally fosters greater psychological wholeness. We start to reconcile the opposing forces within us, leading to a greater sense of inner harmony and integration.
So it's about moving beyond just a one-dimensional view of ourselves and accepting the whole spectrum of who we are.
Exactly. And by consciously engaging with the shadow, we also tap into that reservoir of untapped energy and creativity that's hiding in there. Remember, the shadow isn't only negative. It holds those suppressed positive qualities too.
Right, the creativity, the assertiveness.
Bringing those into the light can unlock hidden talents, boost our vitality, and really fuel innovation in our lives.
That's an encouraging thought. Facing our dark side can actually make us more vibrant and creative.
It can. And furthermore, shadow integration has a really powerful positive impact on our relationships. As we become more aware of our own projections, we naturally cut down on unfairly judging others.
Makes sense.
This fosters greater empathy, understanding, compassion in our interactions, leading to deeper, more authentic connections. Internally, it reduces that inner conflict and the sheer energy we spend on repression. That brings greater peace and a more grounded sense of self. We become more authentic, less driven by the need to keep up a flawless front.
And it sounds like there's an ethical side to this too.
Absolutely. Engaging with our shadow means taking responsibility for our darker impulses, rather than denying them or blaming others. This conscious ownership is a crucial part of moral development. And on a spiritual level, Jung saw shadow integration as an integral part of the journey toward wholeness, acknowledging all facets of our being. Plus, think about the psychic energy we use trying to keep the shadow locked away. Integration releases that energy, frees it up for personal growth, for more meaningful life.
This all sounds incredibly valuable, but I have to admit, the prospect of actually confronting these unwanted parts of myself feels, well, a bit intimidating. How do we practically go about this shadow integration? What are the steps?
That's a totally natural reaction, and it's really important to stress again. Integration isn't about indulging the shadow or acting out its negative impulses. It's not about becoming Mr. Hyde.
Okay, good.
It's about bringing its contents into our conscious awareness and finding healthy, constructive ways to relate to them.
So it's less about embracing the dark side and more about understanding and acknowledging its presence within us.
Precisely. The first step is really cultivating awareness. We need to become more attuned to our shadow traits. This takes honest self-reflection and paying close attention to our intense emotional reactions to other people.
Like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, if you consistently find yourself really irritated by someone else's confidence, maybe that's a clue pointing to your own underdeveloped assertiveness tucked away in the shadow.
So those things that really push our buttons can actually be valuable signposts.
Absolutely. Our strong emotional reactions often light up something unacknowledged in our own shadow. The next step, then, is acceptance, consciously confronting and acknowledging these traits, but without harsh self-judgment. Jung stressed this takes considerable moral effort because it means owning parts of ourselves we might find, frankly, distasteful.
Acceptance feels like a big hurdle. We're often our own toughest critics, aren't we?
It is, and that's exactly why self-compassion is so vital in this whole process. Once we have some level of awareness and acceptance, the next phase is assimilation, finding ways to integrate these shadow elements into our daily lives in healthy, constructive ways.
Like how?
For example, channeling previously suppressed anger into setting firm boundaries in our relationships, or using newfound assertiveness to actually pursue our goals instead of holding back.
So finding positive outlets for these energies that were once pushed down.
Exactly. And there are several practical techniques that can help with this. Dream analysis is a powerful one. Jung believed that figures in our dreams, especially same-sex characters we dislike, or even animals, can often represent aspects of our shadow. Paying attention to them can offer real insights. Active imagination is another technique. It involves consciously engaging in a kind of dialogue with shadow figures, maybe through journaling or visualization.
Active imagination sounds intriguing, but maybe a bit abstract. How would someone actually, start doing that?
Well, one way is to consciously picture your shadow as a distinct entity, maybe give it a form, even a voice in your mind. Then, through writing or just internally, you can engage in a dialogue. Ask it questions. What do you want? What are you afraid of? What positive qualities might you hold that I haven't seen?
Okay.
Visualization can help too, just focusing on the image or feeling of your shadow, trying to understand its energy. And of course, actively recognizing our projections day to day, like we talked about, is a continuous and crucial part of the work.
And I imagine working with a therapist, particularly someone trained in Jungian analysis, could be incredibly helpful here.
Oh, absolutely. A skilled therapist provides a safe, guided space to explore these often sensitive, deeply rooted emotions and shadow aspects. Also, practices like regular self-reflection, maybe journaling your thoughts and feelings, and cultivating mindfulness through meditation, these can significantly boost our awareness of our inner world.
Right.
Ultimately, approaching the shadow with self-compassion and a genuine willingness to understand its role is key. And it's really important to remember, shadow work is usually a lifelong journey of self-discovery. It's not a quick fix.
It sounds like a really profound, ongoing exploration of the self. You mentioned the collective shadow earlier. How did Jung see that playing out on a bigger societal stage?
Jung suggested that just like individuals have a personal shadow, groups and entire societies also have a collective shadow, the disowned, projected aspects of the group's identity. This collective shadow often shows up as prejudice, discrimination, the tendency to demonize out groups. Sometimes it escalates into large-scale conflicts like wars.
So, on a societal level, it's that same mechanism again, blaming the other for the flaws we won't acknowledge in our own group.
Exactly that. And Jung held this rather hopeful view that as more individuals do the work of integrating their own personal shadows, it could actually contribute to greater understanding and harmony societally. We become less prone to these unconscious, harmful projections.
That's a powerful idea that our individual inner work can actually ripple outwards positively.
It is, and Jung's insights into the shadow, they remain incredibly relevant today. You see their influence in various self-help approaches, in leadership development focusing on unconscious bias, and increasingly in therapy models that recognize how important integrating the shadow is for mental and emotional health.
It really brings home the power of that Jung quote. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious.
That quote perfectly captures it, doesn't it? It's through embracing and understanding our complete selves, including those parts we instinctively want to push away, that real growth and transformation can happen.
So to kind of wrap this up, the shadow self, as Carl Jung saw it, is this crucial yet often unconscious part of us. It holds both negative and maybe surprisingly positive traits we've repressed. And the conscious work of integrating the shadow, bringing it into awareness, accepting it, finding healthy ways to relate to it, isn't just beneficial, it seems essential. Essential for psychological wholeness, for better relationships, and for ultimately unlocking our full potential.
Precisely. It's not about getting rid of the shadow that's impossible anyway. It's about cultivating a conscious relationship with it, letting it inform and enrich our lives instead of, sabotaging them from the shadows, so to speak.
Okay, here's a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe mull over. Think about one quality in other people that consistently triggers a strong negative reaction in you. Could that intense feeling be a kind of signpost, pointing towards an unacknowledged aspect of your own shadow? What might you discover if you were willing to explore that connection just a little bit deeper?
It's a question that can really open up some significant doors for self-discovery. Jung's work on the shadow offers such a profound and enduring way to understand the complexities of being human. We definitely encourage you to delve further into his ideas and continue your own exploration of this fascinating inner landscape.